Special presentation on pivot points. This is a two-part video. In part one, we're going to be looking at pivot points themselves. We're going to talk about a little bit about what they are and how they're derived, and also the zones that they create. Okay, you can use these zones in your trading. The second video, we'll look at the actual levels themselves and look at how you can actually incorporate them into your trading, whether you buy or sell from the levels, how you get trading opportunities from those pivot points. So let's begin with what the pivot points are. They're basically a calculation based on the previous price. What we're looking at here are daily pivot points. Now you can use weekly pivot points, monthly pivot points, even yearly pivot points, but the most commonly used pivot point, of course, is the daily pivot. Now, the daily pivot is the best one of all. Here, this is represented by this pink line here. The daily pivot is the strongest one. This is the central line, and this is derived from calculating the price action, the move of the price from yesterday's data. It then plots today's pivots, and that's what the price will react to in the coming session, okay? Now, what we're going to look at here is the zones that these pivots create, because you'll notice there's levels above and below. So you've got the pink line here, you've got above it, you've got R1, R2, R3. The R stands for resistance. In between those lines, you've got these blue lines called M5, M4, M3. That stands for midpoint. So the M is just literally the midpoint in between each main pivot. So in between pivot and R1, you've got M3. In between R1 and R2, you've got M4, and so on. The other way, going below the central pivot, you'll see S1, S2, S3. That stands for support. So basically, if the price is below the central pivot line, we want to be looking for buying opportunities. If the price is above the central pivot line, we want to be looking for selling opportunities. That's the